Hello, dear community. How are you? This is MSRS and Kenny bringing to you a new episode of the podcast in which I will be talking about War Pigs by Black Sabbath and Dulce Decorum est pro Patria Mori by Wilfred Owen. I hope you enjoyed this episode and please subscribe, activate the bell button for notifications and give us a like. Alright, so what is it about War Pigs that is so attractive? Actually, the fact that it is criticism of war. This is not a glorification. When Black Sabbath first released this song in the 1970s, the war at Vietnam was ongoing, and many youngsters in America and in some other places feared that they would be summoned to fight in that war. So this brought up a rebellion of young people, and everyone was against the war because they knew they wouldn't bring anything good for them. According to lyricist Geezer Butler, the song was not about politics or government or anything of the sort, but it was about evil itself. And when you listen to the song, if you think about the people who send youngsters into war, you realize that they are not the ones to fight. They are the ones behind the desk or behind the screen preparing tactics as if they were playing a chess game. Actually, chess is mentioned in the song. And when you come to think of it, when you play chess, what you do is, first of all, you sacrifice the pawns. The pawns in the game of chess are the soldiers in a warfield. So what is it that would be so attractive about war that anyone would like to fight in a war? I don't know. I very often wonder, and I understand the feeling of defending the nation and defending your family from any problem that there may be. But really what happens is complete destruction. And, this is what the song reflects on. The record company actually changed the title from Walpurgis to War Pigs. Because if they had used Walpurgis, it would have sounded too satanic. So they tried to make it less satanic by changing it into War Pigs. When you come to think of it, War Pigs also brings to mind Animal Farm. And you think about the pigs and their changing attitude, how they moved from being the victims to being the victimizers. So maybe this has something to do, maybe it doesn't. But in this case, in the song, the generals would be the war pigs, I guess. And they are presented as black witches who gather at black masses, preparing the destruction of the world. Anyway, the ending has some kind of hope in karma or something like that. At least I think so. But what is the connection between this song and the poem by Wilfred Owen? First of all, I have to mention that Wilfred Owen was born at the end of the 19th century, in 1893, and he died, unfortunately, in 1918, at war, actually. He had been fighting on and off because he had suffered from what at that time was called war neurosis. He died very young. He was only 25 years old. And actually, he died 1 week before the war ended. And his mother received the news of his death actually on the day of the armistice. So how sad is that, and what a paradox. The thing is that when he had to come home to get better from that war neurosis, he met Siegfried Sassoon and they became friends. Some people say they were more than friends. But in any case, Sassoon helped him deal with his mental issues and his trauma from war through writing and through writing poems, which was something he did very well, and both of them, I mean. But the poem I'm talking about, written by Owen, really depicts how soldiers during war turn into some sort of shapeless mass of flesh and bones. It is as if they lost any quality of humanity. They become some sort of fuel for a machine, which is also mentioned in the song by Black Sabbath. They are no longer individual human beings. They move together and do things together, but not for the sake of glory, just for the sake of death and destruction. And something that is also mentioned in both pieces is the bodies burning, and how in the song by Black Sabbath, the bodies are burning in the fields. And for Wilfred Owen, the people burn alive when they inhale gas. Because you know that during World War I, gas was used to choke people to death. So they literally spit out their lungs when they inhaled gas. That is the cruelty to which human beings are subjected during a war. Now, coming back to his history and his life, some of his poems were set to music by composer Benjamin Britten in his War Requiem. And it is really an impressive piece, and if you have a chance, listen to it. Anyway, all the references to the material I'm mentioning here I will leave in the description of the video, so you can check it out. However brave the song by Black Sabbath is at criticizing politicians and generals, the poem is crude in telling how very terrible it was to see your friends die. I will just read 2 lines from the poem in which Wilfred Owen expresses how traumatic it is to see the things he saw and how unforgettable it is. In all my dreams, before my helpless sight, he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. If in some smothering dreams you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in, and watch the white eyes writhing in his face, his hanging face, like a devil sick of sin, if you could hear, at every jolt, the blood come gurgling from the froth-corrupted lungs, bitter as the cud, of vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues, my friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory the old lie. Dulce decorum est pro Patria Mori. In this case, what he is describing to us is the sort of war they fought during World War I, which was a war in which people had to fight face to face and in the trenches. Very different from the war that we know nowadays, which is fought not in every case, but very often from a distance. In my mind, it resembles more a video game because missiles and fire is shot from a long distance and through a screen. So instead of looking at your enemy in the eye, what you are doing is playing with a joystick and dropping bombs without looking at the faces of the ones you're going to kill. So I think it is completely different from the war they fought at that time. Because if you had to face your enemy, probably you would feel different about shooting them. Anyway, what you sense from the song on the one hand and the poem on the other hand is that they are both against the ones who prepare the setting of the war and who send people to war, not participating in it directly, but just moving the pieces in a chess game. How very different would it be if they had to fight where they sent people to die? What do you think? Maybe it would be different, maybe it wouldn't, but I don't know if they are that brave. I don't know if they have the courage or if they think war is glorious, if they have to go to the fields and fight. If I have to think about the ending of Wilfred Owen's poem, I really think he feels no hope. It seems as if, for some strange reason, he knew he would die at war, because he tells you, beware. Whatever they try to convince you of, whatever they tell you about the glories of war, it's all a lie. All you see when you're fighting is death and destruction, which is something that is also mentioned in the song. Black Sabbath wrote the song thinking about mass media. Mass media at that time, or social media in our time, in this day and age. The area, the place, the space in which we people are being convinced by others that some things are good and some others are bad. In the 70s, whatever ruled the communication system was the mass media, radio, TV, record companies and all that. And, well, they probably tried to sell war as something wonderful. So what they say in the song is they are trying to sell war to you, and people are brainwashed. I suppose you know the meaning of brainwashed. And it was because propaganda was so very persistent. And, well, they must have seen it all the time. In this day and age, probably propaganda is issued and shared by social media mainly, because many people use social media, probably much more than radio, television, and that sort of thing. So, what do you think about this? Is propaganda really trying to turn people's opinion one way or another? Is it trying to twist your will to accept one thing or the next? I think so. I think it's the greatest window through which we buy and sell not only goods but ideas as well. The thing is, it's very difficult to stay critical and clear about one's own way of thinking when you are bombarded day and night with propaganda. But, well, anyway, this is the comparison between both, and they both agree on this, that you will be, molested, so to say, all the time with these things that war is good, war is good. Yeah, no way. Then back to the point of hopelessness, and what Owen was hopeless about was that the war would end, or that people would return home. All he saw was the wagon full of corpses or dying people, hopeless people. But when you listen to the song, the feeling I get about Black Sabbath's song is that at the end, karma will get back at you. And whatever you did with an intention of hurting, destroying, or even if you didn't think about it because you're behind a desk or behind a screen and you decide to hurt and destroy, in the end, destruction will come and get you by the legs. And it's like a danse macabre, sort of. no matter how important you are, what sort of a general you are, but when the war is over and your time comes, you will have to answer for everything you did in life. And Black Sabbath presents this as an image of the generals kneeling, begging for mercy, but there will be none, because there comes God. And behind the scenes, Satan, laughing, spreads his wings. So, if this is not vengeance, if this is not karma, then I don't know what is. But it was their way of saying, okay, you are the one in power, but not forever. Power ends, and when the situation is reversed, you will be the one answering for everything that has happened here. In order to round up and finish this episode, I will say that it is dedicated to all the innocent victims of war, those people who die having nothing to do with the conflict. So we will pray for them, remember them, and I hope there will be no more wars around the world, even though at this point it seems to me that it's an impossible wish. Anyway, from my little place in the world, my corner of the world, I will be saying bye-bye to all of you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being there. Leave any comment as long as it is respectful, and subscribe and give me a like. So, bye-bye till the next time.